What do you do if you get lost in a desert? The odds are small, not zero. Every year, people end up out there. A wrong turn off a highway, a trail that looks shorter on the map, a car that picks the worst possible place to quit. That last one happened to a man named Mick Oman. And 2 days later, when they found him alive, it wasn't because he was tough or lucky or carrying the right gear. I'm Captain Survival. Let me show you what he did, and what he got wrong. Because he did both. July 2017, Phoenix, Arizona, in the middle of summer. Mick decides to drive up to a little place called Crown King for lunch. That's the whole plan. Lunch. He doesn't tell anyone where he's going. And that's the mistake that nearly ends it. Not the breakdown, not the heat. Search and rescue can't start looking until somebody notices you're gone. And if nobody knows which direction you drove, the search area isn't a trail, it's a state. Mick said it himself afterward. He thought he was just going to lunch. The road turns rough. Boulders. Then he's standing behind his SUV looking at a long streak of transmission fluid painted down the road behind him. The car is done. He's several miles from Crown King, alone, and it's July in the Arizona desert. He checks what he has. Half a bottle of water, 2 beers, a sandwich that's already gone bad, and some crackers. Here's the moment that decides everything, and most people get it wrong. Mick stays with the car. That's the single most important thing he does. From the air, a vehicle is a bright metal rectangle in a landscape with nothing else like it. A person is a dot the size of a comma. Search teams say it constantly. The worst decision lost people make is walking away from the one object that's actually findable. He tries to make himself louder. He fires his gun in Morse code. He drags small boulders into the shape of an H for help. He tries to light a signal fire and it won't catch. None of it works. Nobody comes. By day 2, the water's gone and he has to move. So he hikes out looking for water and finds it. A stream, maybe 4 inches across. He said it was the sweetest water he'd ever tasted. He drank until he felt sick. He also, at one point, drank his own urine. And that one's worth stopping on because it's the myth that survives every survival movie. It doesn't help. Urine is your body's waste concentrate, salt and everything your kidneys just work to remove. Putting it back means your kidneys do that work twice with less water to do it. It moves you backwards. Muddy stream water in a real emergency is the better bet. Dehydration is the faster problem. Filter it through cloth if you can. Boil it if you somehow can. But if you can't do either, drink it anyway. Yes, that water might make you sick, but the usual culprit is giardia, and giardia takes 1 to 2 weeks to show up. In a desert emergency, you don't have 2 weeks. You have days. By the time that water could hurt you, this is already over, one way or the other. That night the monsoon comes. Big, sloppy rain. He filmed himself standing in it, soaked, grinning like a man who'd won something. Because he had. On day 3, he decides to walk out. And before he goes, he does the thing that saves him. He writes notes by hand and leaves them on the SUV. His phone number, his home address, and the exact direction he's walking. That turns a dead car into a message. Anyone who finds it now knows the 2 things that change a search completely. He was alive when he left and which way to look. The vehicle stays findable, and now it points. He starts hiking at first light. That timing matters more than it sounds, and I'll come back to it. Just after daybreak, more than 48 hours in, he spots a dirt biker on the horizon and flags him down. A man named Troy Haverland gives him an hour-long ride out to Lake Pleasant, where the medics are waiting. Mick Oman walks out of the desert. Now, before the next story, I need to correct a thing almost everyone believes. You're probably not going to die of thirst. Thirst is what people picture. Cracked lips, empty canteen, crawling over a dune. But a person can survive days without water. And in a desert emergency, you usually don't get days. You get hours. What gets people is heat. Your body has exactly one cooling system, and it runs on sweat, which runs on water. When the water goes, your core temperature climbs. And past about 104 degrees, you're into heat stroke. And here's the cruel part. The first thing that fails is your judgment. The person in the most danger becomes the person least able to understand it. That's why so many of these stories end the same way. Someone walking in the wrong direction, completely confident. An EMT with the Southern Arizona Rescue Association put a number on it I haven't been able to forget. You can go from sweating normally to being in serious trouble in about 10 minutes. And she said she knows people who have died half a mile from their own vehicle. Half a mile. On a normal day, that's a 10-minute walk. May 2025. Wave Cave Trail, Gold Canyon, about 40 miles east of Phoenix. A popular trail with a parking lot at the end of it. 5 people go hiking, temperature around 100 degrees. 6 hours in, they run out of water. A 33-year-old man in the group goes unresponsive. The others start CPR right there on the trail. Rescue crews reach them and take over. He doesn't make it. 4 other people in that group were also in heat trouble. They weren't reckless. Nothing about that morning would have looked like a warning. They went for a hike on a Sunday. And the timing is the whole story. Officials afterwards said what they always say. In that kind of heat exhaustion or heat stroke can happen in under an hour, and most heat deaths on trails happen between 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. That's the exact window Mick avoided by walking at first light. Same desert, different clock. One more, because this one ends differently. A 72-year-old woman named Ann Rogers is driving to see her grandchildren with her dog when her car runs out of power and fuel. She'd spotted a sign for a gas station, turned off the main road to find it, and got lost. No cell coverage. She leaves the vehicle to climb ridgelines looking for a signal. Normally, that's the error that ends people, walking away from the findable object. But what she does next is why she's alive today. She makes herself impossible to miss. 3 days in, with no food, she builds a sign on the canyon floor out of rocks and the bleached bones of an elk. One word, big enough to read from the sky. Help. She tucks a note under one of the rocks explaining what happened. She eats desert plants. She'd read a book about which ones were safe. She drinks pond water. At night, when the temperature drops below freezing, she builds a fire. Smoke by day, fire by night, a word on the ground. They found her and the dog after 9 days. Because that's the lesson sitting underneath all 3 of these stories. You are not trying to escape the desert. You're trying to be found in it. So here's the whole thing. Short. Tell someone before you go. Where and when you'll be back. It's free, it takes 10 seconds, and it's the one Mick skipped. Stay with your vehicle. Shade, shelter, signal. And the thing people are actually searching for. If you truly have to leave it, leave a note like Mick did. Direction, time, name, number. Don't move between 10 and 4. If you're traveling, travel at first light or last light. In the middle of the day, your only job is shade and stillness. Get under the vehicle, not inside it. A parked car in the sun is an oven. Make yourself big. Rocks, branches, anything with contrast. 3 of anything reads as distress. A mirror or a phone screen throws a flash for miles. Ration sweat, not water. Old desert rule's still the right one. Sipping carefully doesn't help if you're losing more of it by walking. Sit in the shade and drink when you're thirsty. And skip the movie tricks. No urine, no cactus juice. They cost more than they give. The desert doesn't chase anyone. It doesn't do anything at all. It just sits there at 110 degrees while a person makes a series of small, reasonable-sounding decisions. Walk toward the road. Try for a signal, just over that ridge. The people who come home aren't the strongest ones out there. They're the ones who stopped moving, stayed near the car, and made themselves easy to find. I'm Captain Survival. Stay safe out there.